Hi everyone. So let's not wait. Let's start. Good morning, everyone. So I can see that there are some participants here, and there are the participants at. Okay, there are some participants in the YouTube live audio, also. So this session is streamlining and live in the YouTube as well, right? So yeah. Okay, so let me introduce myself, guys. I'm Dr. Ajit Singh. I'm the founder and Chief Executive Officer of for the CleanMed and our institute, which is right now running in Bangalore, Curio Training and Research Institute. Let me give you a brief of our institution. Definitely, as Dr. Ronak said, Dr. Ronak is my senior from my college, from my PG college, and as he said, I run these two startups. So one is Climate Research Solutions, which I started after my PhD in cardiology from KMC here, and this is actually CRO, Contract Research Organization, based in Hyderabad, where we run all the heart failure clinical trials, especially only dedicated to the heart failure because my PhD was in heart failure. Other than that, we started Academy in 2021, where we run at least more than 200 courses, including 20 diplomas in different streams, different healthcare trainings, and we provide a lot of faculty development programs. And till date, successfully, very happily, proudly, we have trained almost 1 lakh plus students all over the world, and we are working with the universities and colleges, so more than 160 universities and colleges. So right now we are into the multiple domains. We are trying to involve into multiple things, including the research centers. We are developing our research center also. We are coming up with our we provide all the SMO services, CRO services, and we are coming up with our medical journal also, and this is our board. So our director of the board is Dr. Pramod Kumar Rajput, who is actually voluntary farewell from the Cadila Pharmaceuticals as senior vice president and vertical head. Under his guidance only, we are running this. So just a brief about us, and then I welcome all the faculty members, all the experts here from the medical affairs domain, Dr. Amrinder Wan and Dr. Parthos. And we have our, other members, Dr. Ronak Panwala, Dr. Ehsan Farooq Bhai. So I welcome you all, guys, and good morning. I hope the students will take, something from you, and they will learn from you, because we are running this course in the medical affairs for last almost 4 months, and till now we have delivered. We tried to deliver actually the best from the industry, where they can learn and they can join the medical affairs industry. And we are trying our hard to get the experts from the industry. Like today we have two with us, Amrinder Manji and Paritosh Dubeji. So with that, guys, please learn and please ask as many as questions you can ask. You have 1 hour with these experts today. Okay, so thank you very much for joining, everyone. Over to you, Ronak Bhai. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Dr. Ajit. Nice to see your journey. And I once again thank Dr. Amrinder Singh Man and Dr. Paritosh Dubey for joining this webinar. Both of them have a very busy schedule. Despite of them, and they have made it possible to be available here. And thanks to all participants, and thanks to Dr. Ehsan Farooq, who has been associated with this course from long. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Amrinder Singh Man, sir. Of whom, like, to whom I had the pleasure of reporting for solid 2 to 3 years. And he's a very tall leader and a renowned expert. Right now, he's functionally based in Singapore, handling cardiovascular and also maybe nephrology therapy area at Bayer. So handling APEC region, that is Asia Pacific countries. And we have Dr. Paritosh Dubey, who has transitioned from multiple roles like clinician to medical affairs to marketing and sales. And he's also he's kind of like, we talk about digital KOL. He's a truly digital professional, and he has 10 plus years of experience in medtech, and he has also done MBA from ISB. It's indeed a pleasure to have both of his presence, who have achieved a lot in terms of people management, in terms of helping organizations in achieving goals, in thinking out of the box, and building a strong career in respective domains. So So once again, thank you. And Dr. Raman, it's really we are pleased to have your presence as well, Dr. Paritosh. So, yeah. So uh, I think so. Oh, let me check. There is one chat box. Okay, so participants, colleagues, you can put your questions or comments in chat box, or you can raise your hand, and we will give an opportunity to hear you out and address those comments. So to just kickstart the discussion, so Dr. Aman Ninder Singh Man, uh, what do you think about medical affairs role in industry? Where are we today, and where the future of medical affairs in India and also in beyond?
Well, thank you, Ronak, for the kind introduction. It was always a pleasure working with professionals like you. I can see Paritosh also over here, so great to see the old team over here. Um, it's medical affairs, I think, is a very broad term. If I were to start, I think there are several parallels when you talk about medical affairs as a function, right? Um, it really depends upon kinds of skill sets which you have. I think once you get into medical affairs, you start realizing what all opportunities you could really have. There are medical advisor roles, there are MSL roles, there are digital-based roles, there are um, some chances of getting into pharmacovigilance through medical affairs. I think the amount of learning you have through medical affairs, a lot of other opportunities also open up in different parallels, such as regulatory, pharmacovigilance, and so on. Now, I think the other part of the question which you really asked was, where are we in India in terms of medical affairs? I think we've seen a huge evolution since the time I started my career. I remember starting my career as an MSL and my boss really telling me that, okay, so read up and go to the respective KOLs. And I think it's evolved from there into very strategic ways of approaching thought leaders. Omni-channel campaigns really coming into the part, integrated business plans where there are an integration of medical affairs strategy and the marketing strategy really coming to the fore, and more integrated approaches where we are approaching KOLs through a very scientific base and making it really, I'd say, functionally operative excellence, which you call, and we're getting to a stage where, yeah, I think we can compete with the best in the world. So a lot of the societies which are evolving on medical affairs, if you really try and tap down in terms of how they're evolving, I think MNCs now in India are also really getting there. But this journey has taken about 10 to 12 years, and I think we are strongly and surely really getting towards uh, towards getting towards medical affairs excellence as is practiced across the world.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Aman, for providing very important insights, and I think a strategic role, how we approach KOLs, the digital domains, omnichannel engagement. So it's not that I think when we talked about maybe support function in the past, and they were very specific or very few works uh, done by all support function, including medical affairs, but there is now a no function which will not be ready to welcome, like they all will be ready to welcome medical affairs inputs, strategic role, guidance in all the organizational objectives and achievements. So thank you. Dr. Paritosh, so you have been to medical as a clinician, as well as marketing and sales, and also digital domain. You are very active, and you are a true leader in that domain. So what do you think medical affairs can contribute more, or how we can feel medical affairs presence more in terms of marketing and business leadership team? So how do we create further value, or how do we showcase further value? Right? I think we are already there maybe, but how we make it possible, visible more?
Right, right. Thank you, Ronak. And sorry, I was until this time mute on camera. Yeah. So rightly you mentioned, Dr. Ronak, that we, as medical affairs, is always evolving. Not recently, post COVID, there was a challenge. The KOLs were not quite comfortable getting on calls on digitally with anybody. So traditionally, it was a face-to-face call or in-person meeting is what they used to expect. But then came a transition, and I think the medical affairs community was prepared for it, and that is how we evolved. And then most of our meetings and even advisory meetings, let alone the one-on-one interactions with the key opinion leaders, were shifting online. I'm not currently aware of how is it still going on, because when I shifted from Bayer to Sapla, that was the scenario, as in the interactions were still online, because that came as cost effective alternative to your in-person meetings. Used to also, we can call it eco-friendly and more towards the sustainability effort, if it was to be recognized that way. But what I also see is that medical affairs itself is finding ways through certain regulations which are coming into Indian practice. Especially, I got the news of coming from Indian governance that medical representatives are not supposed to be visiting the government hospitals for selling any drugs or something, or doing any commercial transactions. And that is very well where you see the scope of medical affairs even evolving further, right? So scientific selling is not truly selling. If you know how the interaction goes and what are the compliances that you have to follow, that you are not supposed to be talking commercials and prescription writing and everything in the clinics. I'm sorry if there's a background noise. Yeah, so that is where I think medical affairs is a little aloof of these kind of constraints if there are futuristic and unprecedented regulations coming into picture. I think scientific selling or scientific way of selling is going to be the way always, right? So digitalization is there for sure. And at Bayer, I experienced a scenario where it started changing, as in we started bringing in international speakers in ISPs. We used to call international speaker forums, right? And same was the case how the practice evolved in case of Cipla, right? So if I were to just quickly touch upon two major trends, I think it's digital, and the other one is a better foot forward in terms of navigating the complex regulatory involvement from the government.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Thanks, Dr. Paritos, for sharing those interesting and important insights, especially on digital part. Dr. Hassan, would you like to add anything on the points that we have discussed?
Hi, Dr. Ronak. I was on mute.
Okay.
So, no, I really appreciate the points, and actually, it very well solidify like what we had discussed at length as well. I have one question to Dr. Paridosh. Like, see, of late, we are hearing this term like digital opinion leader as well. Like actually, especially post COVID. So, could you please elaborate to the team, like so this term maybe with more clarity?
Right, right. So yeah, definitely, I'd like to elaborate further. By digital, we mean that the interactions are primarily happening over Zoom meetings or Google Meet or several other players in the market. The only factor that could come possibly, I mean, where the difference is gonna be is that maybe probably MNC like Bayer or Boehringer would prefer not to communicate through WhatsApp channels. So that is where the question arises, right? There might be a lot of digital interactions which could happen, but also depends on what the market is really anticipating. Are doctors really expecting you to drop in messages through WhatsApp? Will that be called as spam? Is there a thin line? What needs to be followed? And who dictates the standards of the medical affairs industry, where the convergence lies between the scientific way of selling and the commercial way of doing? Because I'm sure medical reps or the other sales people in the industry in pharma would already be doing that, right? So what we also did is there was Viva platform, which was included within our working space when we were just trying to get digital. And what we used to do is edit the emailers on the go and then be precise about what kind of message we want to send to our KOLs after having an initial interaction. So for every interaction, we had to have a follow up so as to complete the loop, so that you're not just keeping the conversation closed, so that you always agree on next steps. So that was one of the ways we were taught at where there was a training which lasted for 2-3 months, and after that you were supposed to hit the market, right? So Viva, how could, I mean, Viva as a platform, as a tool, how could you use Viva as you agreed in the clinics or over digital uh, 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 communication that you had earlier? Suppose you have a meeting with a doctor XYZ, and then you decided that, hey, doctor, we have a new paper coming up. This is more towards the real world evidence, and I'd definitely be interested to share it with you. And then if there's value, and if you would like to discuss the complexity of it, and if you want to make state say points which should be actionable in their real practice, can we have another meeting lined up after that, right? So that is how you open up the next steps, and you use these kind of Viva like tools or Salesforce or anything which is allowing you to send personalized emails very contextually, leading to the next conversation based upon the prior conversation that you have, right? So that is how you open the loop. Keep on building, and never close with a straightforward answer, or a very conventional one. Hey, lovely to meet you, just this much, right? So you always have to lay out the next steps very well, and that is how, if you think about all the different platforms, I'm sure Dr. Maninder would have a lot to mention here. But yeah, over to you, Dr. Amar.
Yeah, maybe I'll just also contribute. So thanks, Dr. Hassan, for the question around digital opinion leaders. So I think as we spoke about evolving trends, I think this is a place where there's a huge scope in India. So what is a digital opinion leader? So originally, we've really been drawn towards key opinion leaders who have a lot of influence within the therapy area expressed through platforms like congresses, national or international, journals, which you can probably indirectly influence, and guidelines. So earlier, this was the trend which was followed, and you used to choose your key opinion leader based upon where their influences lie here. Of course, there's a conflict with the sales force where they also look at prescriptions, but that's where I think Paritosh is also talking about that try and focus upon influence rather than prescription over here. Now, digital opinion leaders, I think the evolving trend is about a lot of HCPs really um, having a very strong digital influence overall. May it be Twitter, may it be YouTube channels, may it be other channels as well. And that's where I really spoke about an omni-channel approach. So an omni-channel approach is where, of course, you are approaching the HCPs one-to-one for key opinion leadership, but really trying to influence these, and first of all, not even influence, understand these people who are in the market who really have an influence in that therapy area through digital leadership. They are posting the right things. They are putting out the right YouTube videos. They are really putting in the right efforts to create awareness around that therapy area. And I think more and more MNCs are really looking towards these kind of digital leaders to make as they say, that omni-channel approach more and more inclusive. So apart from KOLs, digital opinion leaders are critical in today's day and age. I feel right now probably certain reimbursed and developed markets are in a better understanding of tracking these posts, these YouTube channels, and these digital opinion leaders, and we can probably get better at it. But I think it's spot on, Dr. Hassan, that this is the trend we need to catch on to, and the faster we do it with more and more millennials coming into the fray and more doctors, really, these are the places where influence is really, really increasing.
Right. And if I were to just make one more point, building on what Dr. Aman said, is that the possibility, the futuristic trend would be that you just not identify these digital opinion leaders on different platforms, like he mentioned, but you also can play a bigger role there, right? So MSLs or medical affairs professionals' role is to become a thought partner. That is what we were told, and that is still the case. So if you want to become a thought leader in their digital journey, I think you can also ask them, go and understand the need of what they are trying to post in all these platforms. How can a scientific person like you come into picture? What support can you extend? Can it be made official, like companies are kind of identifying their needs. It's not just done on a personal basis, right? So think of a scenario or a situation where a doctor used to come to you, and this is a real use case. So doctor used to come to us telling that, hey, Dr. Paithos, I have a need. I'm going to present in this society or in this smaller medical forum. It's not as big where I'd be needing your complete support, but I'll just need your support as in, can you help me with a few slides? And then you might have to bring up those slides and support them with, though that it was not a primary thing that your KPI would be asking you to do, right? So similar way, it can be on paper or off the paper, but you can also understand their digital needs. How are they trying to position themselves? What kind of say innovation can you bring in terms of the digital content that they can publish, right? To hold that digital ownership and then evolve, because that is something even new to them. And then most of the doctors, if they are KOLs and if they are transitioning from being a KOL to digital opinion leaders, they are not mostly tech savvy. Sorry for bringing this up as a misunderstanding, but that is how the market currently is. And if you can help them become a digital marketing opinion leader, I think that is also opening a lot of scope for you to get on to that journey of being a thought partner for them.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Raman and Dr. Parizosh. Like actually, that clarifies a lot, and actually through a lot of insights as well to the audience, especially with digital gaining prominence. Why I asked this question was like actually, see, of late, all the organizations are also increasingly rely on platforms, including LinkedIn, etc. Like actually, to communicate. So that was it. Now I have another question to. Dr. Raman, like, see, I just want to know, like, what are the recent trends in medical affairs? I will give you some, idea, like, from where I'm coming from. See, long back when I started my medical affairs journey, and we were not doing much of real world evidence studies, etc. from India. We were not generating, or we were not contributing to anything like the value propositions, like something like health technology assessments, etc. Long back, we were primarily relying the data what was available uh, from the Western countries. But now, with lot of changes, what are the recent trends which drive medical affairs? If you can throw some light, Dr. Raman.
Yes, I think Asan, first of all, we spoke about digital trends really becoming a center stage. So the more adaptable you are to these digital trends, of course, I think that's something which really comes up. I think Ronak mentioned one thing about medical affairs not being considered a support function, but an integral part. So I think one of the main trends is that this proposition also holds a lot of responsibility for you. Uh, Now, I think it's more and more reason that you have to talk about long-term goals rather than executional goals at a tactical level. So you don't have to only focus on a tactical level where you're thinking of that, okay, we'll convert one KOL, we'll do X, Y, or Z, but it has to be at a bigger strategic level, right? And medical affairs is now part of that particular journey to really make that happen. So how do we make that happen? I think that's the question which you really said, right? So I think, first of all, you mentioned real world evidence studies. I think the earlier clinical trials in India, I think, were somewhat subdued because of the regulations for a period of about 6 to 7 years, going from 2011 to 2017, where a lot of international multinational companies were really not that proactively looking at even phase 3 trials, forget real world evidence in India because of quality of evidence. I think the Drugs Controller General and the CDSCO office has really changed that up. We are now at a space where we are getting approvals within 5 to 6 months of US FDA approval. So I think that's one trend which is really, really catching up. So the regulatory environment right now is more congenial, I'd say, to trying to get these newer drug innovations into the markets itself. So number one, I definitely talk about that particular realm per se. Secondly, as you mentioned, is about generating real world evidence. I think more and more now proposals from India are accepted by global, and I think there are a dub- there's a subconscious reason for that. Whatever we might say, probably because of schemes like Ayushman Bharat, overall healthcare becoming more and more spread in India, lots of third-party insurances, especially MNCs, are now looking at India as a much bigger market. Um they are looking at India for growth. It's a country which is growing at upwards of 7%. You don't see that globally. Apart from probably Mexico and Vietnam, there is no other country which is really growing at this level. So the approach from global is also looking at India as a big, big growth driver. And I think that's another trend which we really need to catch up on. And from a medical affairs front, it means generation of more and more evidence, which is more congenial to an Indian subcontinent environment, where you're not reliant on ethnicity reports, BSc reports alone from phase 3 trials, sub-analysis, based on which you extrapolate data, but real world evidence where you're directly doing uh, uh, patient journeys and you're actually seeing how the patient responds to those particular things. Additionally, I think also with digital awareness also becomes safety is an integral part itself. What we also see is a much higher awareness around pharmacovigilance reporting across Asia Pacific. So coming from an Asia Pacific level, in the last 3 years, I've seen a much higher number of reports coming in from India, and it's coming in comparison to also a lot of the regional uh, markets such as Australia, Korea, more so as well. So I think these are the trends where we need to put a pulse on stronger, I'd say, digital tools for PV reporting, which I think a lot of MNCs already have, but I think that importance and that floodgates are opening. Real world evidence is the third one. Fourth is digital, what we spoke about, digital opinion leaders, how we can really generate and strongly foster this omni-channel approach. And last of all, which I said was the regulatory environment. So I think these are some of the trends which we uh, need to ride on per se.
Thank you, Dr. Aman. One more question to you, maybe before passing back to Ronak, since you had worked in India as well as you had worked with the region as Asia Pacific as well, and since our audience today are just budding medical affairs professionals or the just still in the final years of the colleges, so what piece of advice you want to give them from your career journey? Obviously, that Dr. Paritosh can also have the means. I mean, you can also answer the same question.
Yeah, I'd say I've been very fortunate in my career that whenever I had managerial roles, I was able to get talent which was exceptional. So I think, but when you look at that particular talent, I can probably comment on that, right? That one thing which has been important for me is always being open to opportunities. I think you should be open to take up more, whether it extends 100 to 110% of your time. That's what really helps you. I think in terms of my career, there was a time where I was doing two biggest products for Bayer as an MSL and also doing a training role, whereas my job was probably only for one product as an MSL. So I think taking up opportunity more and more is critical. You are responsible for your development. So every budding professional, medical affairs professional, needs to really, really understand that things are not going to happen by you sitting there and doing a great job. Things are going to happen when you sit down with your boss, when you sit down with your manager, you chalk out what you want to do. You tell them that these are my interests. He would or she would give you feedback on that particular aspects. Chalk out a journey for yourself. Where do you need to improve? Where do you want to go? Develop those skills along the way, and that's how you move to your next steps. Take a year or so within an organization, and then really understand that what is your long-term goal in 10 years. Really, where do you want to see yourself? We do a lot of these questions at the MSL interview, and yes, a lot of MSLs at that point don't know what medical affairs is all about. That's why I say take a year, understand where you want to go, set your goals over there, and work towards those long-term goals. Um, I'd also say innovation is critical. You have to come across as a person who's open for uh, adjusting in this VUCA environment. So your bosses higher up should understand that you have this ability to change manage. And I think these are the few things which have really helped me in my journey overall. And that's why I'm sharing this overall. And then apart from that, I think the amazing teams which I've worked with. I think Ronak and Paritosh are part of my colleagues who I've really worked with, and I've been fortunate to really to be able to ride on their success, I'd say. Some exceptional talents over here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Raman. And of course, this would be like actually, this would be a very valuable guidance to the team who are listening. So I will hand it over to Ronak. I think Dr. Paritosh had a small break or something like that. So Ronak, you can proceed. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ehsan, and thanks, Dr. Raman, for the kind words. But I often tell that it's a boss, like he also mentioned, the discussion with the boss and boss uh, guidance and boss uh, empowerment is quite critical. So a very important thing that uh, ongoing discussions throughout your career with the boss in alignment with the your medical affairs overall goals or where the organization wants to move. So that is very critical. And individual person is responsible finally for their own journey. Now, the next question, Dr. Aman, like in this, so you talked about how to build a career and how to achieve the long-term success. Um, in this webinar right now, we have lot many candidates in the last year, maybe, or maybe in the early phase of the career. You did mention about some of the things which you look for during interview process. So can you briefly share what are the skill sets, qualification we have earlier, what are the qualifications needed for MSL or MA? But what are the skill sets or typical success mantra or typical uh, instances where you may assure that this person is going to be a promising candidate, and also vice versa. Some of the examples where some of the attributes you find out that okay, this is not going to be aligned with the MSL or MA role. So can you have handled large teams, you must have like you have interviewed so many candidates. So can you talk about the MSL interview process, MA interview process, and
Oh,
a bit, yeah.
sure. Ronak, it'll be a pleasure to talk about that. I think so. I'll try and so it's a very I can talk on this for probably a day, but I'll try and restrict my discussions to 4 points, which I think are super critical when you're going in for an interview. There tends to be a lot of videos which we look at and we see that, how are you going to prove yourself better from the next person coming in? How am I a better choice? Nobody's going to ask you that question. Why should I choose you over the person coming in next, right? At a starting MSL job itself, right? I think for an MSL interview process, there are 3 or 4 things which I would be looking to. Just give me 1 second, Ronak. Okay, maybe I'll finish this and then get my laptop on charging. So number one, which is super critical for me, is when I'm interviewing an individual, right? Uh, I should really the journey which they really are trying to tell me. I really try and understand their life journey. Why do I understand their life journey? Uh, because from the life journey you can understand the overall character or the overall uh, how the person approaches different challenges. For me, it's super critical that uh, in your life journey, you really demonstrate learning cycles. Why did you fall? What did you do to get back? You will never be at the optimal of your game throughout life. So be honest when you are in an interview and don't come across as the legendary warrior which you are, that I did this, I did this, I did this. Do understand we are all humans. We fall, but I think the stronger of us really get up and then go to the next step. So very important is that always remember that's what we are looking for. That's what I really look for in an interview. Honesty, and then of course whether you are able to really do that. Secondly, how do you manage change? I mentioned VUCA, right? We're living in an environment which is unpredictable, vulnerable. You don't have an idea of probably what's going next. Trump might throw a tariff right now and another one. Raw materials might not go out, so what are you going to do? So please be ready with examples where you've demonstrated where you've been able to work in VUCA environments, right? The third thing which I'll tell you is that, there's a very famous saying which goes by that either you run the day or the day runs you. So what do you prioritize and how do you prioritize and what is important for you is critical. And that is where strategic alignment really comes through. Okay, so what is important? What do you do first? So that I think is something which is critical. And last of all, every what do you say, MNC has a different culture into which you want to step. So you should really understand that which culture you are really trying to enter. For example, Bayer has a motto which goes by health for all, hunger for none, right? So are you really aligning to this motto through when you're giving your interview questions? So do you really align with the culture? Dr. Hassan here from Novo is there. I think the Novo motto is unordinary drives change. So what does that mean? Unordinary drives change is that you're not looking at everyday things. You want to do something different. Novo wants to do something different to change the life of patients with chronic diseases. How are you going to contribute to that? Right? So these are the aspects which I think you really need to bring to the fore when you really want to succeed in an interview. And that is how you're going to be different and better from the person coming in next. So these would be my four main suggestions. I think riding on the horse and really trying to tell your laurels is a definite no-no for me. You'll get caught very easy if the interviewer is a seasoned one. So try and focus upon your vulnerabilities, but also highlight that you might be vulnerable, but you get up and you again chase your dreams itself. So I think these four are the most critical for me, Ronak, when I'm looking for a candidate in an interview, whether it be MSL or anywhere, in fact, higher positions as well. I mean, even interviewing therapy area heads, I think these are the areas which I try and look for.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Dr. Raman. I think that was this is a participants, colleagues. This doesn't come in a 2 or 3 years time. He has hired people for more than 10 years. He has worked with many complex kind of people, complex hierarchy from bottom till top till global levels, and the broad picture what he has spoken is quite relevant, and we should try to adopt it at wherever we are, not only as a starting phase or also in a mid-career or higher career phase. I think that was very important, which the participants wanted to know about the critical success factors during interviews. So I hope this would be helpful to all of the candidates here. Yeah, Dr.
Ronak, I'll
Raman, you
just
want
take
to?
a second to get
Yeah,
my laptop on charging. Maybe you could pose the next question. Just give me a second. I'll be back.
yeah. Dr. Ajit, Dr. Asan, Dr. Paritos, um, if you want to add anything on this part, please.
No, I think the experts are, going very meaningful, and these are very good approaches during the interviews also when you are selecting the candidate. Definitely understanding the culture and aligning with the culture of the organization is what we also do at CleMed. I'm not into the medical affairs, but I totally understand that, the first thing what we see in the candidate, like if how his journey or her journey has been, in the past, and how he has gone through all the ups and downs, and how he can align with the culture of the organization. So that's definitely one of the very important thing what we should always look into. So like yeah, it's going great, and we are getting wonderful insights from the experts. So uh, the participants, if you want to ask any questions, please ask.
So I think there is one comment. So so Karthikeya, what I think what the expert Dr. Raman meant is that expression of vulnerability during interview can also be taken as a downside by interviewers. So wherever you can, I think we have discussed earlier. Also, Dr. Hassan also told about it earlier. How you clarify, how you fight back with that example. That's important. So the thing is that don't be we don't need to be very superlative or the perfect ones. We need to be aware about certain things which are in control, which cannot be in control, even with our own selves. There is lot many things that happening in environment, external environment, but to us also it sometimes things might be out of control. So, but what? Yeah, Dr. Aman.
I'll jump in here. Uh, I think that is the biggest misperception we can have, that vulnerability is weakness. I think we should, and what even Dr. Hassan said, where are we evolving towards? I think we are evolving towards leaders who have stronger EQ than alone an IQ.
Yeah.
You should always and always remember that the person sitting on the other side is a human as well. Um, if you really try to be the bravado saint, as they say, that everything what I've done till now is right, it really comes across in the interview process as well, right? And it really doesn't speak about you. I think a good interviewer will try to cut you down and understand you as a person. And for me, it's that is what's more critical. I Degrees will get you a job uh, until and unless you have some of these four qualities you had, you will not grow in organizations. Please do remember that. So it's very important that you highlight a vulnerability, and it's not a vulnerability. Everybody can fall. But the point is that what do you do when you fall? So it's not a vulnerability. It actually is your strength that when you fall down, what do you do next? I mean, I'm sorry I'm getting very theatrical about this, but I'm a big fan of Rocky Balboa movies, and I often speak about it, right? And in Rocky Balboa, the guy says, and it's related with me for very, very long. And I think I've said it many times on several platforms, whether it be India, regional, or global as well. It is not about how strong you can strike. Life is always about how much you can take, fall down, and get up and face it again. And that is what you want, originality in an interview, right? That is what will get you a good job and a big job. It is not alone that you holding big degrees will get you that particular job. Yeah.
Yes, I think so. Just to add, like I think now, uh, many times, especially even the CEO level. So few example would be where what was the biggest failure and what did you do? So that's something. All people will have many success stories, but whenever there was a problem or very challenging thing or something didn't went well, even maybe they blew up 10 crore rupees. That's fine. But what happened after that? That is very important.
It's how you face challenges, I think, Ronak. That's what you're talking about. And that's what need to be stripped down in an interview. If you can explain it, that I can face challenges head on, you will be selected. But that story should be very, very clear. And you should have a very clear example. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I'll try to club Mohammed Sanawar and Meg's early questions. So they are into like how to enter into job or how to. So first thing is we have discussed it that about you approach company for the job. We don't approach company directly. So then whatever the job title is about, what is the job JD is about, then you make a cover letter and try to modify CV according to JD. Try to remember what are your skills or some works, some programs, some certificates, course, some publication, what you have done. What are the maybe is some suppose cardiology job is in cardiology or oncology. So you talk about you have done 2 months internship there, or you have done some DUR or some safety profile of some drugs, or you are handling um, compounding and dispensing something like, or you have done some PKPD even in the kind of study. So that's what you try to bring it up, so you prepare yourself for a job position, and then you align yourself with the JD as well as company's objective while preparing for the interview. Uh, Dr. Paritos, Dr. Ehsan, Dr. Aman, so you can add your comments.
I think it's spot on, Dr. Ronak. The first thing that I think your certifications and these kind of programs bring to you is reflecting the intent, right? You want to learn, and you're showing the industry that hey, regardless of what my background is, I can be a doctor, I can be coming from B Farm or Farm B or anything, right? But I have taken steps meticulously in a very concentrated manner so that I'm telling the story that okay, I'm here to learn more, and I have that inquisitiveness that I want to keep learning to best be able to prove myself at work, right? So the certifications do definitely prove a lot of value, bring a lot of credibility. It's not just that it's just a one-time thing that you show the people that I have a certification and I can enter this industry. It sticks to you, it stays with you for long, and whenever it also comes in handy when you are switching in companies and so on and so forth, right? Let alone the part that they play in enabling you to perform better and be a better medical affairs person, right? So totally aligned on this, Dr. Ronak.
Dr. Aman, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I think pretty much summarized. I'd also just suggest that searching on LinkedIn is a good idea. If you target companies where you really want to go, search on LinkedIn, try and see profiles of people who are already in that particular company, maybe sending a hi or a hello to understand what's happening in the company. um, Possibility of asking them that, okay, could you forward my CV? You might actually find an acquaintance on LinkedIn as well. I think it's a good platform that way. Although I'm not a big fan of LinkedIn job posts because I really don't feel that they really come to a conclusion once you apply through that. But yeah, I think yeah, the JD development and the other factors which Paritosh and Ronak said is definitely there. Use LinkedIn as a way of establishing your network. And I think from that network, you should try and search for your next opportunity. That would be a good idea.
Right. So I'll also bring in some more information and personal experience from running Higher Vibe. So that was a startup that I started 4 months back. Ran it for 3 months, and then the full time work was more tasking, and I had to quit. Right, but it was profitable from the day one. The reason because I understood the problem. Right, the algorithm of how LinkedIn, how your Naukri profile and all the other platforms you have to showcase yourself, put yourself in the marketplace, because otherwise you don't let any string which is attached, and then people can kind of discover you. So your discoverability definitely goes high, right? So it might also be a chance that uh, 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 you started optimizing your Naukri and LinkedIn, and you are showing the same credibility on both the platforms. There has to be a synchronicity. You cannot be just random, and you also start taking measures. One of which is, and this is what I've developed over the last 5 years of LinkedIn practice. I have today 15,000 followers approximately there, and then I am running 2 different newsletters. Each of them are having 2,000 followers each, right? So my point is that you grow your community. You decide and you define what are your followers going to be looking like, right? If you are into, or if you plan to get into medical affairs, you start reaching out early on to all those people, because initial 1 to 2 years of your industry exposure, or even as a fresher, you are allowed to do mistakes. You are allowed to be just bombarding people with messages, hey, can you support me? Nobody's going to remember anything, right? So experiment, learn, optimize, and I won't call it bring your followers, because initially you don't even have the credibility so that you can bring the followers, right? At least have your connectivity, or have the people around you who are from the same industry, so that you get the passive information update, even if you're not doing actively, right? So it's like better than doom scrolling on Instagram, or any other platforms. You use LinkedIn as a substitute. I'm sure that you'd be getting a hang of how LinkedIn works, how to attract the right people, and then because of more followers, having more followers, you are more likely to get accepted by any person, right? So if you're targeting to, say, get connected with a talent acquisition head, or a talent acquisition person from Bayer or Cipla or any other company, you first reach out to people who are early level medical affairs associate, right? So therefore, I mean, the more the followers, the more the mutuals are, the likeliness of getting accepted by those profiles get higher. So that is how you build your community, and whatever post you are posting or publishing on the line, down the line, it will make sense for them, and your personal profile will not be just a personal one. It will be more like personality that you are developing, and the kind of brand positioning you're doing for your name, right? So LinkedIn is going to be a long-term game. Just like SEO works in marketing, just like anything else works, you have to get onto LinkedIn early on. You have to build your LinkedIn and Naukri profile, keep them in sync, optimize them for certain words which recruiters would be looking at, and then look from the lenses of how a recruiter would be searching, right? There are multiple tools which give you the idea of how, or what is the preview section of any search console when somebody from a recruiter tool of LinkedIn, if they are running any search, what are the things that come at the top? I think these kind of optimizations can definitely help you in the long run.
I think these were very interesting insights from how to effectively utilize the platform. So thanks, Dr. Paritosh. Vignan, I think the question is answered by multiple panels. Sajal Thakur, so similarly, so if identify the roles, identify the companies, you add a certification course on clinical research if possible. ICS GCP, you add it up if you don't have. And then also if you whatever you are right now, so either you are in pursuing studies or in some roles. So see whatever you can do in terms of clinical research, any part of project or some study, retrospective, prospective, whatever you can do, and then you can easily go into clinical trial, clinical research things. So I think Dr. Ahsan has left. Dr. Aman also need to leave in maybe 2 or 3 minutes. So um, um,
I
but
think we can
thanks.
take, we can ask audience to ask one
Yeah.
or two more questions, then we can wind
Yeah,
up.
first Dr. Aman, we can take up any question. Yeah. So participants, you can ask a question to Dr. Aman, who is a Epic medical head for the few of the products at one of the big MNC.
Yes, guys, please ask questions.
I hope I'm not too intimidating. That's why
No,
no
no.
questions.
No, definitely not.
In case, Dr. Ajit, you can post some questions to
Sir,
him.
no, I have actually personally one question. So, I mean, you guys have actually covered most of the portion of it, but still, like, what kind of actually skilled, the students when they're coming out of the, coming out of the college, what kind of skills they actually need to have to get into the medical affairs, except the, interview things, whatever you have talked about, but the actual basic skills, what they need to have.
I think that would depend a lot on the kind of job you're applying for. So maybe I'll answer your question. I mean, if you're going for clinical research as an associate, that would be different. If you're going for an MSL, I guess that would be different. And then, of course, there are other internship roles as well in medical affairs as well. But I think what's really, I'll maybe focus on the MSL role over here, right?
Yes.
Um, I think first of all, a sound understanding on the scientific background. So I guess I don't want to get into degrees, but I guess part of my interview process includes definitely a scientific presentation. So I would suggest that work on your skill of how you can easily digest scientific information and you can convey that information in a very crisp manner to an audience. For example, put up a slide, a very complex slide on your present. And I'm giving you knickknacks, and I'm not getting into that. Okay, do this ICH-GCP course. This will add and everything.
Right.
I'm trying to give you very clear knickknacks of what should be the skills, right? And this is a skill. Get a get upload a presentation. Take the most complex slide over there. Probably a slide where you take 5 minutes to explain, and then target that you have to finish this slide in 30 seconds. What would you do? So I think that is
Okay.
one skill set which you could really improve upon, right? Secondly, would be prioritizations, right? So start thinking in a strategic manner that if I have 4 tasks, what would be the most critical out of this? And that's something which will be very evidently and very important for you in the job interview and subsequently as well. So that would be another skill which I would really encourage over here. Adaptability, I think, would be the third one, which I would really focus upon. That how can you really focus on different environments and adapt to that particular environment per se. If you're able to really pull a plug on these three, apart from the basic requirements of having a medical degree, of having additional, if you have some experience somewhere, that's great. If you have a diploma, that in addition to that, that's great. But I really feel that the interview makes a big difference. I think I can say it from myself that, uh, I mean, without any haughtiness, that in Bayer also, I was one of the first people to recruit MSLs with varied, what do you say, degrees, with varied portfolios. And if you are going into the right team, your manager would be looking at different assets from different individuals. So the more you work on these aspects, I think it'll be super critical, and it would really garner a lot of success.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Dr. Paitos, do you want to add something?
Yeah, definitely. If I have to summarize it, I think you have to first know your customer, the doctors in our case. You have to know your numbers from the clinical trials, know how to present them well, like he already summarized very well. Because it's always a you don't come with the advantage of getting too much time with any SAP. They are mostly rushing to their OT, to their clinics or whatever, right? So they're the most busiest persons, people on the planet, because even while I'm doing sales and I'm reaching out to CEOs, and this is a part of my inside sales, I still manage to find their time, and it's surprisingly much better and more time I get to spend with them than I used to do with the KOLs, right? So you have one chance to make an impression, and always be reflective of what you want to do. You're not commercial, right? The same thing applies to sales, and I think there's a similarity that in sales you're also kind of representing the clients to your company and not just the vice versa. Not always that you're going to represent the company, but you also, to your internal stakeholders, you're also representing the clients, right? The same way you also have to fight or have to take the route of ethics and justice when it comes to uh, just collaborating with your salespeople, because they might also want you to see certain things to the doctors, which is not ethical or which is not a part of your job as a MSL or as a medical affairs person, right? So that is where you have to also know the ethics, and that also kind of formed one cornerstone when I was interviewing for Bayer to Dr. Mansar, right? So know your numbers, know your doctors or SCPs, know psychology, because that was a part of our training program. You need to understand how to open a conversation, how to sell it, and how to close it. Sell it at SAIL, not the SELL one, right? So how to sell the conversations and how to close it effectively, so that you always have a chance to follow up with another task with any other opportunity, right? So knowing psychology comes handy. Be a marketer, as in how to best position yourself or how to have a upper hand, because you have to fight in the market against other MSLs, other medical advisors, sales reps, regional medical sales people from all the different companies, right? So how to stand out, how to deliver value, and I think presenting information in very crisp and concise words. Again, understanding what the doctor really needs, which is where the empathy comes, right? What is the unmet need which the doctor has basis his practice, because you cannot sell to a customer without understanding what their need is. Most of the time there's a need which is very evident, which is obvious to the doctor, which is the conventional need, which is certain times it might be that the doctor does not know himself or herself what their need is, right? So you have to understand their practice, what kind of patients are they dealing with, and what is that trend out of the entire buffet of different scientific evidences that you can show them, which will definitely enhance or make their practice easier with definite scientific backup, right? So become a thought partner. If you try to say this and then try to have this instilled in your mindset and in your practice, I think you get a hang of what the end objective is going to look like. So I think these are, I mean, this is how I would structure the same on top of what Sir said.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Paritos. Yes.
Thank
Anything
you, Doctor.
else?
Dr. Ajit, someone was adding something. Dr. Aman was adding.
No.
So I think I need to say Dr. Ajit. So Dr. Aman, we can thank you once again. I had a great learning throughout my tenure at Bayer under you, and I think I'm sure the participants have gained a lot with your expertise and the very valuable comments on the multiple topics today.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Dr. Aman, once again for accepting this invite on behalf of CleMed and
Thank you so much, Ronak and Dr. Ajit,
Thank you.
for having me. It's really a pleasure to be here. And please do continue the great job about spreading awareness around medical affairs. What better to do, right? And thank you so much once again. It was a wonderful discussion. Thanks, Paritosh, as well.
Thanks, Dr. Aman. Yeah, thank you for your time. So I think we can take up 2-3 questions more.
There is one question I would like to ask Dr. Paritos. Like, I don't know if it works actually in medical affairs, like for the switchers who come from the different, maybe from the other backgrounds like CDMPV or some other backgrounds, like कभी कभी छोड़ के आ जाते हैं ना कि मजा नहीं आ रहा है वाला वही लिखा है और the question is also in the same manner, like कि मजा नहीं आ रहा है or this is not exciting enough. So how do you take it, and how the recruiter actually take it when someone comes like this?
Right. So, as a recruiter, I've never recruited anybody for MSL role. I've been into marketing roles. I've
Okay.
Yeah, and in sales now, right? But one thing that I can see is from my personal experience, how have I been perceived by all those people who have recruited me, or all the different interviews I've gone through, right? So it's just that how you need to tell your story, right?
Yeah.
While I was a clinician first. I was practicing in a government hospital, and then I had to move into pharma because I was pretty much determined that corporate
Right.
is the way I want to go about. Right. I don't want to continue practicing it. If at all I'm practicing, it will be a side hobby or weekend
True.
which I could do. Right. So that is something which was personal to me. But early on, if you understand that you want to go this way, or if you want to just get into industry, you don't even have the entire clarity. Okay, is RA going to be interesting for me because you have not tasted it yet? Is it CDM or is it RA or PV? What is going to be interesting for you? What I looked at early on through LinkedIn and after scrolling a lot and searching a lot of people is that which is the vertical which best aligns with my practice, with my background, where I'll be given an advantage. If not advantage, at least will be treated comparatively, right? So being very honest, uh, uh, so MD or PharmD, these kind of people, they come with the right experience, right? Understanding clinical trial studies. I just had a little flavor of what pharma world looks like, what is the drug development process, stages, and everything, right? Clinical trials, a little bit of exposure through that. But I was definitely not supposed to be doing medical affairs on the long run. My interest was always, and I'm in the long run into marketing and sales, right? So that is what I wanted to be. And medical affairs just happened to be say, entry route for me. And because I had a great alignment with my previous experience and understanding, I somehow got into medical affairs. And that is again because of the optimization on Naukri and LinkedIn, right? So I got reached out by multiple people, and that was again when I was just pursuing my master's in hospital management. So I did my dentistry, then I went into master's hospital administration, again from a government hospital. And while I was pursuing it, I knew that on the long run, I want to do a full-time MBA, and marketing is what I want to do. So what the thing is that I understood that medical affairs is going to give me exposure, but even after 5 years of medical affairs practice, I cannot find my way into a full-fledged marketing role unless I go for an MBA, right? So that is what the industry requirement was back then. But now what I have started seeing is that you get into medical affairs after 5 6 years of experience, people have transited into sales or marketing role again in pharma or medical devices or whatever sub industry they are currently in, right? So this is coming more naturally now. I just happen to be a little more aspirational. I wanted to leave no stones unturned so that I can land a leadership role within the next 6 7 years is what my thinking was, right? So I was doing good as a medical affairs person. I was getting recognition and all that awards, everything. Bear supported and Dr. Mahan supported me a lot, and all my colleagues, including Ronak. But it's just that I was more inclined into the brand side, and I used to always do side projects. In fact, I led a go-to-market activity for Rivoxaban, one of the molecules we were dealing with at Bayer, and I took that molecule to Nepal. So that was a side project, which definitely made my interest and inclination more solid. That okay, I enjoy brand management, and this is definitely I want to do. And medical affairs uh, fortunately kind of was my safety net, that I am good at this, I can continue to do this. But the core intention was to explore further and get into the more into the commercial side, right? So my career trajectory was, and then I did not leave because medical affairs में मजा नहीं आ रहा है, the way comment has been there.
Right.
So medical affairs में मजा था. It's just that the more you do, the more qualified you become. You
True.
feel that you are getting better training at it, and you are not putting as much effort that you used to do earlier to get a yes from a KOL or to set up a one-on-one communication with them, right? So that came handy, and that is something which is also giving me a lot of transferable skills. Presentation was a core part of my job. Selling was a scientific selling was a core part of my job. People management, internal and navigating the different cross functions, especially with sales, medical marketing counterparts, and everybody, right? We also used to deal with the regulatory affairs manager, the government, regulatory government governance, and everything, right? So that definitely these are some of the core skills that I still implement and utilize in sales. In marketing, that the case might have been a little different, but definitely for sales, and if you want to maybe on the long run, after 5 years of RA practice or medical affairs practice, you want to get into sales. I think medical affairs forms a very strong fundamental for you. So the basics are very strong, and if you luckily end up having a role in a MNC which is teaching you a lot before they expect you to perform, I think your career trajectory shapes up very good. Let alone the idea that you initially upfront have a big brand which is supporting you, and your access into the other companies get easier, right? So you are getting more say interview calls from Dr. Reddy's lab, Mankind, and all those companies, right? Just because you have a bigger brand, which is your first experience, right? So this is how I would summarize it. Dr. Ronak, if you have a different opinion, please.
Thank you, Dr. Paitos. Yes, Ronak bhai, anything to add in there?
No, so very nice insights, some of which I may repeat. So Aditya, your question is, how did you guys choose this field we want to work in, like medical affairs? So yeah, that was multiple or few companies at that time about me, and I appeared for one of 2-3 companies. One was rejected by them. One I was not sure, and meanwhile this happened, and frankly I was not sure what will happen in this job. So I was not much clear, and in fact I had no discussion with any medical affair person at that time before joining in, and also no course available to my knowledge at this time. So I think this is a very good opportunity where we have been made aware what is my MA or MSL work profile looks like, what could be career pathway. So about why I chose, that was purely a good company, a good role, I would say. JD was good. And that was the thing available. So other thing which I available at that time was not so much big company. This was a global company which I got into at that time, and I took it up. And now, so I like, now after entering in this role, I was able to perform, I would say very good, if not exceptionally, within 6 to 12 months. And then when you do good work and you get recognized, that's both things are important. Now, मजा नहीं आ रहा है, तो after 2-3 years in same role, same kind of responsibility, it will happen. So now the next question is that you work very hard in your current role, and smart, and take up additional task, additional responsibility, and then take a next level role, which will keep your interest similar to good interest in that current hierarchy only, current vertical level. Other thing is that, so why maza nahi aa raha hai, you find it out that no recognitions, no salary improvement, no role change, no therapy change, or some other factors. So that you first find it out, maza kyun nahi aa raha hai, and then try to address that particular point, why आपको मजा नहीं आ रहा है. So that is very important at that point of time. Now, being in this, I think me, Paritos, or Aman has not switched between CDM, PV, or RA into MA. Vaishnavi had one of the faculty in this course has some experience into RA, PV, or compliance, and MA, all kind of roles. So I think she would be right person who has switched within medical affairs. But there are examples of persons of clinical research, medical advisor, or clinical research professors coming into core medical affairs, or vice versa. So clinical research is now booming in India, so that will be very good. And Paritos has talked about now MAs are not only into within MA domains. They are moving into marketeers, strategy, sales, and also leadership. Like, so BU leadership, handling an entire portfolio. That's what Paritos is talking about. That's what he is also doing, and it can be done. So, and then what he very importantly mentioned is that identify your pros, cons in terms of personality, qualifications, experience, opportunities, and then wherever you want to go, you have to be ready to develop all the necessary skills. So now I'm coming to your next question. How does management look to a such profile? If you're doing well, if you're able to justify your entry into that role, that's fine. But after entering, if you don't, you have done maybe good in MA and you want to do good in RA, so you have to pursue those skills. You have to show the all success there also, and also have additional qualification with Paritos is continuing. Like he did a master's in hospital admin, then he did MBA from ISB. So what he has some good clarity about his own goals, and he is working for that, not only based on the current work profile. Like doing well only in current work profile will not guarantee success all the times, but adding up all required experiences as well as qualifications will help a lot. And moving into trends like AI and all, so it will differentiate a lot. I hope, Paritos, I have
That
added.
was spot on, Dr. Ronak. In fact, I'd agree कि मजा नहीं आ रहा. There are several factors contributing to it, right? It can be your company where you feel stuck. It's your manager, which is the most common thing. You can get into a company which is not as pleasurable working with, but your manager is good and he's kind of taking away all the stress which is coming up front, and you're getting a good environment where you can thrive, right? So company manager, or if it is entirely coming as if medical affairs is not getting or going interesting as you expected, you might still want to switch the company, and medical affairs might perform or work in a different fashion in a different company, right? So that is there are a lot of layers to why Mazai is not coming, but I think you pointed out right, Ronak, which I missed earlier, that there's several factors to it, and it's not just that you don't like the role per se, right? But regardless, I mean, this is a common thing for all the industries, and once you get into the medical affairs or regulatory affairs or anything, it doesn't matter what is your background, what experience you're coming with, right? It just matters how much of exposure you have gotten into this particular role, and what are the companies that you have worked with.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with, yeah, I completely align. Yeah, Dr. Ajit, over to you.
I think that's all. We don't have any questions right now, so we can wind up by it's almost 1 hour, post 1 hour, so we can.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Paritos, for joining us, and it was a wonderful, insightful session, and I hope our participants got, some really good insights for the interviews, for the skills, and what they have to do and how they have to choose the right path in the future when they're going to medical affairs, at least right now, from this session. So, guys, thank you very much for joining. Thank you, Dr. Paritos. Thank you, Dr. Ronak. And Dr. Aman and Dr. Ehsan has already left the session. So thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you again. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. Take care.
Everyone.
Have a good day. Have a good Sunday. Bye bye.